Midnight Drearies.
Boscastle, England was the mystical heart of the United Kingdom, and Mazzy Moon's occult shop, Mazzy's Supernatural Supply Company or SUP.IT.Co for short, was at its epicenter. This quaint village was the British equivalent of Salem, Massachusetts, and home to the infamous Museum of Witchcraft. Mazzy, a charming and enigmatic woman, was at the center of it all. Samhain, better known as Halloween, was fast approaching, and Mazzy's witches' coven was in turmoil. They had yet to find a suitable sacrifice for their dark ceremony, an offering to appease the great goat mother Shub Niggurath. Mazzy's knowledge of the occult was vast, but her understanding of Shub Niggurath was woefully misguided. In her occult shop, Mazzy had gathered her coven to discuss their dilemma. They sat in a dimly lit back room filled with ancient texts and mystical artifacts, their faces bathed in the flickering light of candles. Mazzy's piercing eyes fixed upon the dancing flames. "Time is running out, my brothers and sisters," she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of desperation. "We must find a suitable sacrifice for the great goat mother, or our coven's power will wane." The coven members exchanged uneasy glances, and one spoke up, "But Mazzy, Shub Niggurath has never asked for a sacrifice, human or otherwise. She is the giver of life in our universe and all dimensional realities entangled with it. Why would she demand blood?" Mazzy's frustration simmered. She had always been a strong-willed leader, but her obsession with power and tradition had clouded her judgment. "We must follow our rituals, or we risk losing everything," she declared. "We'll find a suitable sacrifice before Samhain, even if it means breaking with tradition." As the coven contemplated their dark predicament, a stranger named Erasmus Franklin arrived in Boscastle. He was a man of leisure, much like his American ancestor, Benjamin Franklin. Erasmus had come to town for the local Halloween festivities, which had gained worldwide popularity in recent years. Mazzy's sharp senses detected Erasmus's presence the moment he entered her shop. He was a man of sophistication and charm, and his charisma drew her to him like a moth to a flame. She found herself flirting with him, her emerald eyes sparkling as she spoke of the supernatural wonders her shop held. Erasmus, intrigued by the mysterious woman, decided to accompany her for a drink at the nearby Black Goat pub. Little did Erasmus know that the Black Goat pub, discreetly owned by Mazzy's witch coven, was a hub of occult activity. In the back room of the pub, their most secretive and mystical gatherings took place. It was the perfect place for Mazzy to further enchant Erasmus and introduce him to the mysteries of the occult. As the night wore on, fueled by drinks and enchanting conversation, a whirlwind romance blossomed between Mazzy and Erasmus. The connection between them deepened, their shared interests in the supernatural forging a bond neither could resist. Mazzy found herself falling for Erasmus, her plans for the Samhain sacrifice momentarily forgotten. As the clock struck midnight, she extended an invitation to Erasmus. "My friends are throwing a private party deep in the woods on Halloween night," she said, her voice sultry and inviting. "I would love for you to join us." Erasmus, captivated by Mazzy's allure, readily accepted the invitation. He was drawn to her like no one else he had ever met. He agreed to accompany her on Halloween night, believing he was in for a night of revelry and enchantment. As Halloween approached, Mazzy's coven was elated. They believed they had found the perfect sacrifice to appease Shub Niggurath and secure their coven's power. Their confidence grew as they prepared for the fateful night. No one would miss the American tourist. On Halloween night, as Mazzy and Erasmus ventured into the dark woods under the guise of a private party, they were met with the unexpected. The witches' coven, cloaked in dark robes, seized Erasmus and began to prepare him for the sacrifice. As they bound him to a stone altar and prepared to carry out their dark ritual, they were interrupted by a horrifying sight. Emerging from the surrounding woods came another group of people dressed in modern hooded trenchcoats, urban cultist robes. They were shrouded in shadows and brought other friends with them, friends of unspeakable horror. You see, Erasmus Franklin was not what he seemed. Unbeknownst to Mazzy and her coven, he was a member of the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania cult of Cthulhu, a clandestine group who revered that eldritch deity. They were well versed in the dark arts and had their own agenda. Chaos erupted as the Cthulhu cultists clashed with the witches' coven of Shub Niggurath. Spells and incantations filled the night air, and the forest echoed with the sounds of an otherworldly battle. The moon, a spectral witness to the unfolding events, bathed the scene in an eerie light. Erasmus Franklin, bound and helpless, witnessed the clash between the two groups. He called upon the eldritch powers of Cthulhu. Dark energy coursed through his veins, and with a burst of supernatural strength, he broke free from his restraints. The coven members and cultists alike watched as he stood atop the stone altar, glowing with an otherworldly aura. Erasmus unleashed a wave of darkness upon the battlefield. The coven members screamed as their spirits were consumed by the abyss, their very souls torn asunder. When the chaos finally subsided, the woods were eerily silent. Erasmus stood alone, his form an amalgamation of human and eldritch deity. Mazzy Moon, the enigmatic leader of the witches' coven, lay lifeless at his feet. Erasmus, now a harbinger of Cthulhu's might, knew that the eldritch powers he had harnessed came at a price. He had become something more than human, a vessel for cosmic forces beyond mortal comprehension. As the moon cast its pale light upon the dark forest, Erasmus Franklin, no longer a man of leisure but a man of terror, contemplated his newfound existence and the looming darkness that stretched far beyond Boscastle. The world was filled with ancient secrets, and he was now a part of something far greater, a force that would shape the fate of all mankind. His fellow cultists began siphoning the black blood of the felled witches into little glass vials. Witch blood, especially that of followers of Shub Niggurath, was a hot commodity on the occult black market. And the cult of Cthulhu needed funding. In the depths of All Hallows Eve, the whispering winds carried tales of a night that forever altered the course of the occult in Boscastle, and the legacy of Mazzy Moon and her witches' coven faded into the annals of history. The eldritch and the supernatural continued their inexorable march through the shadows, forever intertwined in a cosmic dance of power and darkness. And Erasmus Franklin would return triumphant to Philly. Next to go would be those damned bikers of Tsavogwa. But first he stopped by Mazzy's occult shop and burned it to the ground. Erasmus was a dick,